So today we have the Blackmagic Video Assist 5-inch HDR 12G SDI monitor. That's a long name for an intro. Before I talk about why I got this monitor, first of all, Blackmagic didn't send this monitor. I've had it for over 6 months now, and I think I'm well versed to talk about or review this monitor. I've used it here in the studio, and there's some things I like about this monitor. There's some things I do not like about this monitor, which I'll say. I reviewed the Anderson T6 and also reviewed the Shimbo M5, which I currently have just here towards my left side, out of frame. So that's what I'm using to see myself. But for today, we're talking about the Blackmagic Video Assist. So why did I buy this monitor? I was in the market for a monitor that can record internally. The Shimbo, they have the Memory Pro I. I think that's the correct model name, the Memory Pro I. The records internally. Atomos, which is one of the most popular ones, they have their own monitor. I think the Ninja 5s that also record internally, but they have limitations. For the Atomos, it only does ProRes, and I think you have to install an SSD at the back of it. That's just expensive. But the Blackmagic Video Assist here is 12G. It has SDI input out and out. It has the HDMI input out. It's up to 60p. And the nice thing I like is that you can record BRaw to an SD card. So I have an SD card here, which I always have inside. And you can also record BRaw to the USB-C port, which is just at the bottom side of the monitor. And I have this little one from Samsung. I'll leave a link in the description. You plug it in, you power it or fire it on. You can record to the via SSD. If you have like a Samsung T5, which I have here, you can plug it to record there. I'm a Blackmagic fan. I edit on the DaVinci Resolve. I also have the DaVinci Resolve mini panel. I shoot on the Blackmagic. I have 2 Blackmagic cameras. I don't have the Pyxis yet. I have the Blackmagic 6K Pro and the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. And the image is just very, very nice. Even though I'm recording this video on the Sony a7 IV, because obviously it has good autofocus, but you can't compare the image from the Sony a7 IV to my Blackmagic camera. I think they are one of the best. For the price to sell their products, I think they're one of the best. So that's the reason why I settled with the Blackmagic Video Assist 5-inch 12G SDI HDR monitor. So currently I have the website, Blackmagic Designs website open. Blackmagic is currently selling this for, let me just confirm. Blackmagic is currently selling this for $595. At the time I got it, I got this used. I got it for about $500. I was lucky at the time, or should I say I just got it before Blackmagic Design reduced their price, but I got it for about $500 USD. If I'd waited maybe a month after, I probably got it for like $200. I got it used. It's not bad. It's worked fine since I got it. But what comes when you buy the monitor? So this is the box I have here. That's the box, that's the monitor. When you buy it, you get a few manuals. I don't know what this is for, can't remember. But you get the Welcome to Blackmagic Design, which will tell you that you have access to download DaVinci Resolve. At the time, it was DaVinci Resolve 17. You can get that free. This is not there's no studio version of it doesn't come with the studio version of the software. You also get the usual Blackmagic Design sticker and instructions to download the manual if you want. So that's it for the write-up. There's also, it comes with an adapter, which I don't have here in the box, but you have adapters for the adapter depending on what region you are in. So you have different plugs, and there's also the cloth. This monitor weighs 410 grams without the battery, without anything connected. Well, I have an SD card, but Blackmagic says it weighs 410 grams, which for me is not as light compared to my other monitors. I also have a Pyxis LH5P, and this feels about the same weight. 1 minute, let me fetch that monitor. Yeah, so I have the Pyxis LH5P monitor. Which feels, it's lighter, it's obviously lighter. So this is the heaviest monitor I have, but that's because of its build. It's really, really well made. It looks very well made. I also have the Shimbo M5, which is just out of screen. which is, I think, the lightest monitor I have currently. I reviewed the Anderson T6 and the Anderson A6. They are not touchscreen monitors, but they are lighter than all these monitors. But none of these monitors, in terms of image quality, compare to the image quality coming from the Blackmagic Video Assist. This monitor is also made of aircraft aluminum alloy. It's honestly, I think, is well made. I think it's the best. It looks the best. It looks premium compared to the other monitors I have here. The port keys, I'm not saying the port keys are not well made. This is all properly well made as well. But there's something different about the finishing. Blackmagic Design do well with their finishings. According to dimensions, it's 148mm from here to there, and the height is about 90mm, and the thickness is 36.5mm. It has mini SDI input and output. You want to use with a full SDI on your camera, you probably need to get a mini to full SDI and cable. There's a HDMI in and out. There's also a 12-volt power port, so you can connect using the Blackmagic adapter, the adapter that comes in the box. There's also the SD card port. There's a 3.5mm headphone port, and obviously the power button. There are 3 threaded ports at the top for mounting, so you can mount it from the top or you can mount it from the bottom, because there's also 3 threaded ports. There's none on the sides, and I think it's okay because sometimes I have it vertically this way and I can just attach my articulating arm here at the top or on the bottom, depending on how I want to rig it. So that's it for the physical features. Obviously there's some ports here where the speaker is. Uses 2 Sony MPF batteries. You can power using 2 Sony MPF batteries. We'll talk about that very soon. It's something I need to talk about. And they are hot swappable. Also at the back you have the inlet for where the fan sucks in air and sends it out through the top. If you have it near a microphone like this and it's on and it's hot and the fans are spinning, your microphone definitely pick it, because it can get real loud. So sometimes I don't like filming with this monitor because it gets real loud if it's near a microphone. So the last thing here is there's a USB-C port, so you can record to the USB-C port, or you can update the firmware on this monitor via the USB-C port. I'll talk about that later on. So that's it for the physical features of this monitor. And if you want, you can also install a cage. You can buy the small rig cage or one from there. Some other brands that also produce cages for this monitor, so you can have it in the cage if you'd want. And yes, there's one last thing. So I want to show you how the tally lights work. So I have it plugged directly from my Sony a7 IV, which I'm recording this episode with. And if I press the record button, the tally light comes on. So that's it. So that's one nice thing about this monitor. So I'll just power it off. But before I power it off, I need to tell you about the OS. First of all, I'll power it off and power it on to show you how quickly it boots up, which is something I really like about this monitor compared to all my other monitors. In fact, the one from Shimbo takes like about 17 seconds to come up, even when you have the HDMI input plugged in. So in 3, 2, 1, I'll hold and power on the monitor. So pressed. I know it's common because I can hear the fans kicking, and it's already on. The menu system on the Blackmagic Video Assist is simple. In fact, I like it, I don't like it. I'll tell you why I don't like it. First of all, the internals. It's all touchscreen. To operate this monitor, you have to use touchscreen. I have my Blackmagic Pocket 4K, which is filming on the camera, so I can show you guys what I'm doing here. I don't have an overhead shot. I have only one camera that has good autofocus, which is the Sony a7 IV. So that's why I have this setup. To bring up the menu, all you have to do is swipe up on the monitor and it comes up. If you're a Blackmagic user, if you're using Blackmagic cameras, you'd be very versatile with the menu system. Currently, my input signal is 1080p 50 time code. That's the time code up there, and my source is HDMI. It's telling me my source is HDMI, showing me the battery level. So I have 2 batteries installed. You can see there are 2 batteries here installed. That's the level of the battery one, and the level of battery 2. Level 2 is still full, and you have the wave menu, and you have the settings to go into the, deeper into the settings of the monitor. You have the small scopes, which is just here. You have the record, play, stop. I have the SD card, which is named Lumix from my GH5. And then if I have the SSD or the SD card connected, it will pop up there. So let me just connect my Samsung T5. So that's the Samsung T5. If I lift up the monitor and plug in T5, it will pop up very soon showing, yeah, so that's the SSD Samsung T5, and then obviously the audio level. So I'll disconnect the T5 and place it back so that the monitor is in focus. So I'll move the T5 out of view. Okay, so I can also check my battery level. You can see the battery has dropped on battery 1. I think this is battery 1. I can just tap there and I can see my battery level, and if I want, I can just take out the battery and put another one, and it continues powering. So beside that is the waveforms, parade, vector, and the histogram. So that's how it is when I switch to waveform. You can see the same thing, and that's the beautiful thing about this monitor. Just like if you use DaVinci Resolve, which I advise everyone to use, you can easily see the same exact scopes you have in Blackmagic color grading software, the color page side of it. And that's the parade. I can see how my red, green, and blue are exposed for, and I can go to the vector scope. I can see how balanced my image is, and then lastly is the histogram. I can see how exposed the image is. I have my hand towards the left side of the screen, and you can see in the scopes that that's the exposure on that side. So that's it for the exposure tools on the Blackmagic Video Assist. So I'll tap there. Before I tap there to turn it off, you can also do picture to zoom. I don't know if you can expand this now, but the nice thing is that you can move it about, and it happens in the different exposure tools. So you can move that around anywhere. Can I tap to enlarge? No. I'll just click X to close it, and that disappears. And you can also click the settings buttons to change the brightness of the scopes or the background opacity to reduce how visible your image is. So I'll click the settings button again to remove that, and if I click back on video, the exposure tools just disappear. So I can go into the codec side and goes into record, or I can just swipe down and I go back to my front screen. I can swipe down again to remove everything. And before I do that, let me swipe up again. I can record what I'm saying now. So I'm recording straight into the monitor. I'm recording ProRes proxy codec, and I can click stop to stop recording. Usually on the cameras, if you press the record button to trigger record, you can press the record button again to stop. But on this, if you press the record button and you're recording like I'm doing now, if I press the record button again, it would not stop. So that's one thing I had to get used to. I have to press stop to stop the recording. I can clearly see how many minutes are left on the SD card, and if and when I had the SSD connected, it also show the same thing. Also, this camera record up to 4 audio channels. You can see there 1, 2, 3, 4. On HDMI, you can record up to 8. If you're on SDI, if you have the SDI connected and activated, you can record up to 12 audio channels. Yes, up to 12. You can adjust the headphone levels if you're monitoring while using the camera, the monitor. And you can also, hear the feedback. That's super loud. Testing, that's very loud. So I've killed it, and I'll press the audio waveforms to hide that. And let's go deep into the menu system of the monitor. But just before that, where you have the codec proxy side, if I press that square button there, you can see the different things to adjust the monitor. You can use to see what parts of the image are overexposed. Usually I set mine to 75. I usually don't really use it, but just in case I use it, I have it set at 75. So it's off, and it has the peaking, which I like. You can turn on the peaking, on and off. So mine is set at 37%. I will leave it off for now. And then you have the, let me turn that on, the frame guides, depending on what you want. The frame guide I would have loved to see is one that mimics Instagram, but there is none that mimics Instagram here or TikTok. So I'll turn that off for now. You have crosshairs. I have the crosshairs enabled. You have the rule of thirds if you want. I have that off. Or you can do the center dot. It's just like the crosshairs, and that's on. You have the false color, which I really like using. And that's another nice thing about this monitor. The false color is just the same as what you have in the Blackmagic pocket cameras or cinema cameras. So I'll turn that off for now. And you have the, I've forgotten what this is. Probably this is the, let me see, or the brightness of the monitor. And then you have the, what's this one? The brightness of the monitor. What's this? Well, I'm mixing things up. My bad, but at least you can see what you can do. But I know this is the saturation. Definitely, that's saturation. I have mine set at 50, or let me leave it, I think 63. And then let's go deep into the monitor menu. So in the menus, you have SDI. So if I had SDI, I could just click the SDI and then that I'll be using SDI. But because I'm using HDMI, I have HDMI. So if I had cameras like the Canon EOS C300 Mark II, Fuji cameras also allow B-roll. The Nikon Z6, Z7, Z7 Mark II, Z6, Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3 allow B-roll via the HDMI. And also the Panasonic Lumix GH5S, GH6, GH7, GH9, G9 S1, S1H, S5, S5 II, and even the S5 2X, which is the latest one, also support B-roll via the HDMI. So it's also the other format which DNxHR. The ProRes, I have HQ422 Lite and Proxy, which I currently set it as Proxy. And we're going to the DNxHR. You have the different formats. So on the next menu, you have the menu, same as the Blackmagic pocket cameras or the Blackmagic cinema cameras. You can do clean feed, you can display 3D LUT, zebra, focus assist, and the rest. You can also change the color of your focus assist. I currently have it as red, as you can see. You can do white, you can do green. And then for audio setup, I told you, you can do up to 16 audio channels. So if you're shooting via the SDI, you can have up to 16 audio channels. And for HDMI, it stops at 8 audio channels. Yeah, up to 8 on HDMI. Setup menu, same as the Blackmagic pocket for cameras or cinema cameras. You can rename the camera if you want. Maybe you have more than one of these video assist and you want to like label them A, B, C. You can label them the way you want. You can change the date. This is the date I'm currently recording this episode on. And also you have the software version. The one I have is the Video Assist 3.16, which I think is the latest software version as of yesterday when I updated this monitor. And to update the monitor is pretty easy. Connect the USB-C cable to the USB-C port on the monitor, connect to your computer, and make sure you get the software downloaded from the Blackmagic design website and install it in your computer and follow the instructions on screen. And it should take roughly about less than 5 minutes, the whole process. And you can change your language if you want. So you have, those are the languages you have: 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 13 different languages. And then the last one, which is a LUT, very, very handy page, which is really good. You can install LUT. So depending on the camera you're using, I'm currently filming on the Sony a7 IV, which is my A camera, my A roll. And I think I have the standard Cine Gamma 3 Cine S-Log 3 to LC709. I could switch different LUTs. Let me show you. So I have this LUT from Cine Print. I can switch to the 250. This for the Sony A cameras. And if I click, you'll see the difference made. So that's how my image is now with the Cine Print 35 LUT. I can change that back to, if I go back, I can just go back to the normal type. Press the correct button and it's now back to normal. So that's it for the menu system of this monitor. Very, very easy to use, very, very straightforward. Now, to the things I don't like about this monitor, number one is the battery, and not that it uses the kind of battery, but because it chews through batteries. This monitor has been on for about 30 minutes now. I have these two super huge Sony, well, these are the biggest Sony MPF batteries, and already the first one is almost done. Like, it's like around 25% left on battery 1. So this takes a lot of battery. I'm gonna just hot swap the first battery. That was kind of difficult to take out. Usually it's easy. And imagine if I already have 25% left on this battery. This is a 7800 milliamp batteries. I also have, I think, an 8800 milliamp battery, so this will last longer, but that's about 30 minutes constantly on, recording and stopping, going through the menu system, adjusting the brightness, and it's left with about 25%. Imagine what it would be if we're using these smaller batteries. So these are the smallest Sony MPF batteries. There's also the Sony MPF 750, so these are 750 versions. These are the 550, 570 versions. Then the biggest ones, which are the 970 versions. So usually, if I have these batteries, they don't really last. But these ones, well, these ones are the medium. These are the ones I advise everyone to have if you don't want to power directly from the DC port to maybe a D tap, because some people are afraid of frying their Blackmagic cameras if and when you're using Blackmagic cameras. But if you had two of these, I have just one of these ones. Yeah, they're okay, but usually you would have, like, most people I see have two of these big batteries. And now the problem with this is that it makes it very heavy. Already it's a well-built monitor. It has a bit of weight to it. Then attaching this usually would tilt the thing I have holding it to the camera. It keeps tilting, so I have to really tighten it. But sometimes it just keeps tilting. So that's the only problem I have with these monitor in terms of the battery and the weight. The next thing is fan noise. It can be loud. Let me show you. If I increase the brightness to about 100%, I can hear the fans have increased in speed, hence there will be more noise. It's fairly quiet, not too bad. I'll just take it down to 50%. And what this manual says that when the monitor gets very hot, if the fans don't help it cool it down, it will just auto reduce it, just so that it doesn't burn, I believe so. So it has a automatic dim feature. Once the monitor reaches the limit, the screen will automatically dim. The auto dim feature will activate to protect your unit from overheating. I wish there was a possibility of just killing the fan so that there's no fan noise. That way, and also to protect the monitor, you can increase the brightness past a certain level. Just like you have in this new portable lights that are super bright these days. There should be an ability to just kill the fan, just to eliminate noise on set and not allow the monitor get past a certain brightness level. That would have been good. So that's another thing. Fan noise, something I don't really like this monitor for. It's not that bad, but sometimes I hear it. Another thing are that this monitor has no quick function buttons. The only button I see on this monitor are the button to release the Sony MPF battery and the power button. There's no that button. I wish it had quick function buttons, like to quickly go in and activate the video assist tools, or to quickly activate maybe flipping the monitor. My Shimbo M5, which is here, and my Codecs LH5P version 1 have quick function buttons that can quickly activate waveforms, video assist tools, false colors, or rotate the screen upside down, or even activate or deactivate peaking. For this, I have to click into that and then going to select which one I want. It's not bad, but at least it should have been like 3. You see, where you have this quarter thread or this thread mounting point, there could have been maybe quick function buttons, or on the side, on the bezels, there should have been quick function buttons where you can just Blackmagic. I know this is probably coming up in some new release. There should be like quick function buttons you can just tap to activate and deactivate some functions. Now there's this thing. So if you know, Podkeys have this adapter thing where you can connect two or more Sony MPF devices. This is the Shimbo TP Mini. So I can install this is a wireless transmitter receiver. So I have the receiver on this, and I can install maybe like my Shimbo M5 monitor. So usually I'll have this setup where I have the monitor and my receiver, and I'll give this to like the director or anyone to just watch. Usually I use this in the studio here when we do shoot our podcast, and I can just wirelessly monitor it in a different room while transmitting from my A10 Mini Pro. Now, this monitor doesn't allow you to install this adapter. And I don't know if it's an issue with Podkeys, and I think it's an issue with Podkeys because all Sony MPF batteries have this small hole in the middle. Let me show you. So they have these small holes where you can use to like connect to when you're installing a battery. And I'll show you behind when I remove, if you can see here, there is this small hole that helps the batteries just latching. So I'm connecting the battery. It's supposed to like, if you see, the battery has this small hole there, and that's where it will lock in there. The Podkeys adapters, which are very handy, don't have that. There should have been like maybe holes here at the bottom of each side, so I can't use it with the Podkeys. Let me just remove this monitor. So I can't use this on this monitor. It doesn't fit, see? Doesn't lap in. Just because of that thing right there. So I think Podkeys needs to work on their adapters to fix that. So that's another thing. That's an issue. I think the issue is from Podkeys, not Blackmagic, because Blackmagic just following the standard. Now, what I hope BRaw from any camera, I hope most camera companies, I now know that the Sony FX6 Blackmagic is working with Sony to allow FX6. It's been announced, so you can record BRaw on the Sony FX6. Hopefully in the future, you can also record BRaw to the Sony FX3. And I talked about the quick function buttons. I hope there's a newer version that is lighter. These are around 2500 nits. Maybe they make one that's maybe 1500 nits or 1700 nits with all the features, but lighter. Should you buy this? First of all, if you have the money, and if you don't care about battery drain, if you care about the image quality, if you don't care about the weight, I think an alternative to using the hot shoe type would be to have like the articulating arm, a good proper articulating arm, just because of how good the image quality is, how well built it is, and you can record different versions of ProRes, DNxHR, and also BRaw. So that's the reason why I recommend this monitor. And that's it for today. I'll see you guys in the next video. It's your Filmmaker. Remember, every new video keeps you and I connected. I'll see you again. Peace.